who's just complaining about how hard it is to have a vagina. No, you sexist prick! I'm complaining about the gender stereotypes in toys, and it freaking pisses me off. Also, I'm not a feminist. I'm a human being that believes in equality. There's either that or there's sexist people. You can't say you're not a feminist and then say you're also not sexist. That's not a thing!
I want to apologize for the duration of this video. I'm chewing on a cough drop to keep from coughing, but I'll probably clear my throat and sound hoarse throughout the video. Isn't this the kind of logic that a person could employ to say you're either an atheist or a Christian? Or it's, you either believe in a God or you don't believe in a God? Isn't there this thing called, agnostic or whatever? Like, it's the thing that feminists don't understand, is they try to make it like this, like, why do you even call yourself a feminist? If you're just a human being who believes in equality, wouldn't you just be a decent human being? I mean, this is the whole thing with the feminist versus egalitarian versus MRA stuff, is it's not simply a human being who believes in equality. I mean, that's like saying that, I'm a person who believes that human life is valuable. That would be most people, but my personal beliefs on how much value I place on life leads me to be against war and abortion. But there are other people who would not say they don't devalue life by being in favor of intervention or war, or they don't devalue life by being in favor of abortion. Don't pretend that feminism is just a simple thing as, I just believe in equality and that's all it is, and if you're not a feminist or you disagree with me, you're a sexist. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much the description in this video, is if you disagree with me, then you're a sexist, or something like that. Maybe it's a joke, but it's perturbing that a feminist would say that, even if it's a joke. Like, you're not doing yourself any favors there.
By the way, if you've never seen one of my pissed off videos before, I might suggest that you turn the volume down on your computer, and now you're not allowed to complain about it. Now, this video was sparked not by seeing a boy toy, but by seeing a toy that said, "for girls only," and that freaking pissed me off. You know what that toy was? A selfie kit. How is that a toy for girls only? Are you kidding me? It had like little cool mustaches and sunglasses. You know who would use that? My brother, with his 2 sons and his daughter. How is that a gender-specific toy at all?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, you're dealing with marketing. When you market something as exclusively for a set or group of people, that tends to increase its popularity. For example, GoPros are bought by all kinds of people, but the marketing makes it seem like cool, adventurous people buy GoPros. So you'll have people who want to be cool and adventurous, or imagine themselves doing a cool and adventurous thing because of their GoPro, buying a GoPro, when in reality they use it for, I'm hanging out at an event, or I strapped it to my infant, which, is not uncool. It's just, it's not squirrel suit gliding in, the Grand Canyon or something. It could be that it's marketing saying, girls only, this is a girls only toy. It's exclusive, it's cool. We know that when you make something exclusive, or you make it seem exclusive, we desire it more. That's just how people are. That's how marketing works. Why do you think they make limited edition things? Because people will tend to buy something if it is considered limited edition, even if it's not really even by some standards that great or that amazing. The fact that it's a limited edition makes it all that much cooler. It could be other things. Women do, at least as a stereotype, take a lot more selfies than men do, and in fact I see more women taking selfies than men, and I follow a lot of men on social media, and I see the women taking the selfies, and it's not an exclusive trend, and I don't know of a single guy who has a selfie stick. Okay, I do know of one guy who I think he has an extender to the GoPro, which is almost the same thing, but not quite. And the term selfie, if I'm not mistaken, was pretty much created by women. I don't know that for a fact, but yeah. So it's marketing, Yeah, it does kind of suck that it basically portrays, so women are vain and they like taking pictures of themselves, and that actually does seem to be the trend, that women like to take pictures of themselves. So that, why is that a gendered thing at all? Well, because stereotypes and because personal experience.
Earlier that day, I saw that there was handkerchiefs for men and handkerchiefs for women, because apparently we have different booger types.
Were these functional handkerchiefs, or were they decorative handkerchiefs? Because I can imagine there's a difference. Or maybe it's just that color difference that in this video you keep going on and on about, which I'll address in a minute. She gets really upset about boy and girl colors, which I think it's just a really stupid, pointless argument.
That doesn't make sense. So I was in the toy aisle and I was freaking pissed off. I've talked about this before. How when you walk into the girls section, it's all pink, and you walk in the boys section, it's like blue and black, and it's trucks and it's tools, and you walk in the girls section and it's Barbies and cleaning products and how to do your nails. Screw that. Because as you guys know, I don't want to say I was a tomboy growing up. I was a human being that grew up and hated the color pink and didn't like Barbies.
So let's do ourselves a favor and address the first criticism. So she's going on and on about colors, and I think that's kind of stupid, because it's like blue is a boy color and pink is a girl color. It's like, yeah, but they're not exclusive. There's no exclusivity, especially to blue. Like, girls wear blue all the time. Guys wear blue all the time. Like, blue is just kind of a universal. Like, girls have pink and purple kind of as their own color, but it's not like men are adverse to the color pink or purple. They will wear clothes that are pink or purple, especially around Easter time. It's an incredibly popular, fancy thing for guys to wear pink shirts, pink polos, pink suits, pink shirts. It's just like, why is it blue and pink? Like, well, it seems relatively arbitrary, but it's not. I don't think it's not that big of a deal. I'm just not convinced. Now, she talks about. You go down the boys' aisle, and it's all tools and trucks, and girls are all Barbie and nails and cleaning stuff, and So I did a little bit of Google searching, and so here's the Science Daily. The study is preferences for gender-typed toys in boys and girls aged 9 to 32 months, from the journal Infant and Child Development 2016. From Brenda Todd, John Barry, and Sarah Thomasian. And I think it was John Barry who told Science Daily, quote, "Our results show that there are significant sex differences across all three age groups, with the finding that children in the youngest group, who were aged between 9 to 17 months, when infants were able to crawl or walk and therefore make independent selections, being particularly interesting. The ball was a favorable choice for the youngest boys, and the youngest girls favored the cooking pot." I'll leave a link in the description to all my sources. The National Association for the Education of Young Children interviewed Judith Elaine Blakemore, a professor of psychology and associate dean of arts and sciences for faculty development at Indiana University in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Her primary research interest is the development of gender roles. In a study, now this is a really long quote, so just prepare yourself. "We identified more than 100 toys and classified them to indicate how much toy was associated with boys, girls, or neither. In general, the toys most associated with boys were related to fighting or aggression, and the toys most associated with girls were related to appearance. We then divided the toys into 6 categories based on these ratings: strongly feminine, moderately neutral, moderately masculine, and strongly masculine. Toys were then rated according to their characteristics, such as being able to be manipulated, exciting, educational, aggressive, musical, etc. We found that girls' toys were associated with physical attractiveness, nurturing, and domestic skill, whereas boys' toys were rated as violent, competitive, exciting, and somewhat dangerous." Which actually those end up being adult choices in careers, and we'll talk about careers in a minute. If you look at some studies that reference the Scandinavian countries, where supposedly everything is about as egalitarian as you can get, and the Scandinavian countries are constantly hyped up as the most egalitarian countries that you can get, you will actually find that gender differences are greater than they are in the States. For example, nursing over there is dominated by women, and engineering is dominated by men, much like it is in the States. So you can't have this sort of, oh, well, that's socialization. It seems that they're very biological, and I'll link more studies as the video goes on. I also like that she's like, I didn't like girls' toys growing up, therefore they're stupid. Like, okay, like, congratulations, you weren't a typical girl. Congratulations, you're atypical. That's a good thing. But that doesn't mean that every girl should be just like you. You're asking too much.
I'm just getting angry. How did we come so far in the world and we're still telling boys that they can't take selfies with a selfie stick? And they can't like the color pink and they can't like dolls and they aren't supposed to clean and they're not supposed to cook. All they're supposed to do is play with cars, play with guns, play with Legos, which I'm extremely jealous of.
Here's an idea. Play with Legos and don't give a crap what other people think about it. I, for one, don't really consider Legos to be a gendered toy. I suppose boys are, encouraged to be creative on that front, but women are encouraged to be creative artistically, and that kind of stinks. It's like, I really wish I had taken to painting and drawing a little bit more when I was younger instead of playing with Legos like I did. But maybe that's just a gender preference, because I don't ever remember being conditioned away from painting or being artsy in that sense. But I played with Legos as a kid a lot, and I don't look down on any females who play with Legos, and I don't think anybody should. And you shouldn't care what other people think about. Just play with the darn things.
Don't worry, Nerf guns are also for girls now, too. It's not just boys who get to play with them, girls get to play with them, because they made pink ones! All the sexism solved, guys, because they made it pink!
Well, it's because those toys are marketed towards boys, because boys do tend to enjoy them, but in an effort to, I suppose, grab the girls in the projectile toy market and or to appear more feminist-type egalitarian-ish, they create guns, but they make them pink, because they're trying to grab the girls' attention to a market that they wouldn't normally consider. And the easiest, cheapest, most cost-effective, and most attention-grabbing way to do this is to make them pink and artistic and colorful, and yet make them adventurous, so they cater toward the adventurous girls. It's not quite as nefarious as you want it to seem.
So anyway, I was pissed at Target. I came home and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look up a picture of that because I wanted to talk about it. And then I go to Target and I go to find the toys. So I go to the toy section and then it says, what's your gender of the toy you're looking for? What? I'm looking for a toy! Whether someone has a penis or a vagina does not determine what toy they want to play with, or what color they like, or what job they're gonna have.
Is it possible that all of that is due to interest rather than some social engineering or the toys they play with, i.e. meaning the jobs they have? For example, the college majors with the biggest gender gap are fashion, 95% female, construction management, 93% male, mechanical engineering, 92% male, electrical engineering, 91% male, interior design, 90% female, physics, 89% male, social work is 88% female, and nursing is 88% female, aerospace engineering is 87% male, occupational therapy is 86% female, and civil engineering and computer science are 85% male. Those are the college majors with the biggest gender gaps, according to bachelorsdegreeonline.com, which got its sources from blogs.payscale.com. Just something to consider.
Then I started researching toys, and I was getting angry. First off, if you Google image search toys for girls, it is just a disgusting display of pink. And then if you search toys for boys, you get a lot of different colors, but mainly black, but not a pink in sight. Why is it that girls have to like pink and boys have to like blue? I hate pink. I also don't like blue that much. I like purple and green. What does that make me, an alien? So, I'm just looking at things. I found a couple of really sexist toys. One, coloring for girls, coloring for boys. The girls is pretty pictures to color and complete. Boys is cool pictures to color and complete. Apparently, girls can't have cool stuff and guys can't have beautiful things. How does that make sense? I want cool stuff. I also want beautiful stuff. Why can't it be both? Why do they have to change the definitions? Why do they have to make one pink and one black? Why do they have to have different coloring books at all? It's pictures that you take a pen or a pencil or a crayon to and scrabble.
Because coloring is typically gendered. Girls are at least stereotypically creative and artsy, and guys are not typically interested in coloring flowers, so we have to create coloring books that seem cool and appealing to guys to encourage guys to embrace that creative side, because there is still a stigma that a cultural guy is not a man, or excuse me, that a creative guy is not a man's man. And so that's why it says cool instead of cute. Why not both? Well, because men and women just aren't the same. I know you want to live in this nice little fairy tale land where we're all exactly the same and we're all just wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow, but that's just not the case. I'm sorry.
This is another one I saw. My first washing machine. Innocent, right? Except it's very much catered to girls. Because apparently, boys are never supposed to learn laundry. And girls are supposed to learn how to do it amazingly. I'm so for teaching everyone how to do all of the skills of life. Cooking, cleaning. Okay, I'm not very good at cooking, but whatever. Laundry, making sure your car is running properly. How to hammer something, how to screw something, how to hang something up. Like, what do you do if you're stranded in the middle of the world? That's a thing. I'm for teaching kids tricks of the trade at very young ages. But don't just think that because you're one gender, you only need to learn about one. If you're another gender, you only need to learn about another.
I once heard a woman say to me, I'm a woman. I don't need to know how to change a flat tire. I can flag down a man to do it for me. I mean, you know, I agree. My first washing machine. Yeah, okay, that's a little weird. Like, who thought that was a good idea? But sometimes people want to put an element of play into a child's chores. So they'll buy them a toy vacuum or a toy broom or something. And because sometimes male and female children tend to want to help mommy around the house or, help clean up the house. They want to be an active participant, a social participant in all that goes on inside the house. I remember, I know it was my brother, but we both had a vacuum cleaner and we liked playing with it when we were really little. My little sister, not as much. So, I mean, there's always going to be differences and such, but as far as generalities go, it's just the way things work. But, as far as, why can't we teach people to hammer stuff and do stuff? Well, because there is still this old myth that I am woman, I am weak, I don't need to change the oil, I don't need to get gas, I don't need to change my tire or whatever. I'll get a man to do that for me, which doesn't really make that much sense to me. I think that, if you're a woman, you have two hands. What's stopping you from changing a flat tire? You just don't want to, and you conveniently fall back on your, I'm a woman, I shouldn't have to do that. Meanwhile, women are the ones giving birth. I mean, don't pretend like you're some weak, innocent, precious little thing.
I'm gonna pause right here. If you're disagreeing with me right now, that's because you've been taught that this is normal, that this is what you like. My parents raised us in a very different manner, and what you like is what you like. I played with G.I. Joes, skateboards, Hot Wheels, and because my parents raised me that way, I can see the world and realize that it's so messed up. I hated when people said I couldn't do that because I'm a girl and that's a boy toy. No, it's not. If I am able to play with it, how is that a guy's toy and not just a human's toy? Because I have the ability to pick up a truck and go vroom, vroom, vroom. Same skills as a boy.
Yeah, sure, I'll give you that, same skills as a boy, but you see, it all comes down to interests. Men and women have differences in personality, and therefore have also differences in interests. For example, men are more disagreeable. As far as interests, men tend to be more interested in things and objects. Women tend to be more interested in people, and they tend to be more agreeable and nurturing. This is from, so there's a study, The Distance Between Mars and Venus, Measuring Global Sex Differences in Personality, which is a study that you can actually get for free. It's Del Guidice M. Booth. I'll leave a link to the Psychology Today article, which references the study heavily. But so the collaborators used a statistical technique called multi-group latent variable modeling to estimate sex differences on individual personality dimensions, which were then aggregated to yield a multivariate effect size. That sounds really complicated, but basically they found a global effect size D equals 2.71. That's a standard deviation, if I'm not mistaken, which a 2.7, it's really high, if I'm not mistaken, corresponding to an overlap of only 10% between the male and female distributions of personality. This is an extremely large effect by any psychological standard, which suggests that the sex differences in personality are of the same magnitude as sex differences in aggression or vocational interests. So,
Look at this! It says it's girl stuff! How is cleaning girl stuff? Can someone explain that? How about this for a kicker? Okay, you would be like, Rachel, you're overreacting. It's just toys. It's just a color. How about this? A doctor's outfit for boys and a nurse's outfit for girls. Being either is a fantastic thing. You're saving lives. That's amazing. I don't care what gender you are. If you're either of those, that's great. But this toy is blatantly saying that boys are doctors and girls are nurses.
That's because they are. As you can see, pediatrician is one of the MD specialities that has the most women in it. And of course, as we go down the list, you can see the blue is men and the orange is women in that field, with orthopedic surgeon being overwhelmingly men. And there are reasons for that, some of them being the longer hours, the longer training, such and so forth. You know, male doctors tend to work more than female doctors. It's just how it goes. As for nurses, nursing is a woman's field by far. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, in 2005, women comprised 92.3% of registered nurses. So, yeah, you know, while it's true if you're a woman, go ahead, be a doctor. And if you're a man, you know, I mean, I'd almost say if you're a man and you want to be a nurse, you should do it, because, you know, there's probably a demand for male nurses somewhere. You know, I mean, just so many female nurses. And interesting article that I haven't read, but I'll put a link to it in the description anyway. It's Men in the Nursing Field. Yeah, I mean, that's why that toy exists, because overwhelmingly, not so much now probably, but doctors are males and nurses are still overwhelmingly female. Let me read that again. 92.3% of RNs are female.
You can be either! If you have a penis or vagina, it did not decide how much education you get, or what your career will be, or how smart you'll be. In this world, we're raising kids to be sexist, whether you realize it or not.
So let's just pull out all the stops and go straight to a study. This is the study from Infant Behavior and Development in 2000. The study is titled Sex Differences in Human Neonatal Social Perception by Jennifer Conielin, Simon Baron Cohen, Sally Wheelwright, Anita Botke, and Jag, I can't even begin to pronounce that. These are from the Departments of Experimental Psychology and Psychiatry, Autism Research Center, Cambridge University, Downing Street, and the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit at Addenbrooke's Hospital Hills Road in Cambridge. So, abstract is, sexual dimorphism in sociability has been documented in humans. The present study aimed to ascertain whether the sexual dimorphism is a result of biological or sociocultural differences between the two sexes. 102 human neonates, who by definition have not yet been influenced by social and cultural factors, were tested to see if there was a difference in looking time at a face and a mobile, so that being a social object, face, and a mobile, physical mechanical object. Results show that the male infant showed a stronger interest in the physical mechanical mobile, while the female infant showed a stronger interest in the face. The results of this research clearly demonstrate that sex differences are in part biological in origin. So you can actually find this study online, you can look it up. And we're going to skip down to the paragraph near Table 2, highlighted, and I'm going to read this quote. Male infants show a stronger interest in mechanical objects, while female infants show a stronger interest in the face. The male preference cannot have simply been for a moving stimulus, as both stimuli moved. Rather, their natural motion differed, the face with biological motion, the mobile with physico-mechanical motion. Naturally, these results applied to males and females averaged over a group and not to all individuals. At such an age, these sex differences cannot readily be attributed to postnatal experience and are instead consistent with a biological cause, most likely neurogenic and/or neuroendocrine in nature. Was it this study? Let me see if I can find it really quick. There are 4 reasons for suspecting sexual dimorphism in sociability is biological. 1. The amount of eye contact shown by infants at 12 months of age is inversely correlated with prenatal testosterone, and prenatal testosterone is higher in males than females. Children with the neurogenic condition of autism show reduced attention to people's faces and eyes. Autism is predominantly a male condition, suggesting their defining social impairment is sex-linked in some way. Individuals with the chromosomal anomaly for Turner syndrome who inherit their only X chromosome paternally are more sociable than those who inherit a maternal X chromosome. So, there you have it, a nice little look into a study basically showing that men and women are different from birth. Quit trying to pretend that this is just a social construct.